Welcome to a new episode of Outside the Panels with your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes.
Welcome everyone to an episode of Outside the Panels. I am Johnny the Machine Hughes. Today, probably the best dressed podcaster you'll see for a while. Joining me this time around for a special Kickstarter alert is the mega talented Peter Payhuan Shiao. How'd I do? Yay! Come on! Excellent.
You're a machine.
Yay, that's true. That is actually true. Peter, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about your Kickstarter. Let's start off at the top and work our way down. What is it all about?
Well, for us at Immortal, it is about awakening the hero in everybody through our very unique take on the martial arts fantasy genre. I started on this journey with a really, really audacious goal that I wanted to bring all the various influences that's ever existed loosely in the martial arts fantasy genre. So everything from very grounded things like, let's say, a Karate Kid or what Bruce Lee has done, migrating upwards to movies or genres like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, classic wuxia titles that may be associated with Jet Li. People are flying around, and you go upstream to the immortal hero genre. So this is now very supernatural to intergalactic, kind of where the Monkey King would reside. They actually all live within an interconnected world, and that's what we're doing in Immortal. And today I'm here to kind of plug our fourth title because there's four pillars of this world, and we have just launched the final pillar of these four-pillar approach, and the name of the project is Assassin G. So this kind of fits into the second title. So for fans of classic wuxia, the martial hero genre, you know, from the 70s cinema to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon to A Touch of Zen, people who would love those kind of stories would really appreciate Assassin G, and that's kind of the project I'm here to talk about.
Wow. So I've got to say right now, off the bat, as you can tell by my lovely flowing long locks, I am, check me out, I am a huge fan. Well, I'm of an age to be a huge fan of the ninja movies of the 70s where they're flying around and chopping trees down with hands and all that sort of stuff.
Energy, flight, and
that's it. Yeah, it is kind of at the time you'd either watch Bruce Lee, as you said, which is kind of the grounded stuff. Then there'd be some Chuck Norris thrown in. So then as I fell into watching the flying ninja stuff, and I was like, wow, it's like superheroes meets martial arts. I was like,
it's true.
I'm sold.
It's true. They all coexist. And there's a continuum of power and evolution of these characters. So we've kind of created a world where Bruce Lee can be alongside Neo and can be alongside Monkey King, fighting, you know, side by side with each other in a very interconnected way.
Well, I have to advise as well. I actually remember Monkey from the original Monkeys, not the current Netflix stream. Yes. I remember all that stuff. I used to watch Monkey on BBC Two on a Friday night. There you go.
Well, it's been around for thousands of years. It's been around for thousands of years. Now we're just putting it all together in in a world that I think it's fresh and familiar at the same time.
So I mean, it's a genre that's not going away at all. The martial arts thing. I mean, you have Into the Badlands, which features a lot of martial arts in there. You've got Warrior as well, the TV show. So the idea and the love of martial arts has never gone away.
It's actually coming back in a big way because if you think about, you make a good point. Yes, into the Badlands, Warrior. Of course, there's Kung Fu on the CW. There's the last Airbender being made into a television show by Netflix, and don't forget Shang-Chi, which is the seminal film, and all the successes that's really happened on the anime and manga category. If you really look at it, what is Dragon Ball Z? What is Naruto? What is My Hero Academy? It's all wuxia. So I would even argue that this genre is trending to be the #1 genre
I'm not going to
globally.
argue with that. I'm not going to argue with that because
This
in
is
my
trending.
sorry,
Look, I mean, superhero fatigue has set in. It has for
agreed,
me. I don't know about for you.
agreed,
And
definitely.
so this is the next. I wouldn't say because it's been around forever. You can't say that it's the new discovery, but I think there's so many key attributes of the genre, beginning with how personal it is, in that it actually comes from a real body of philosophy, of self-work, of transformation. That has a lot of relevance for every one of us who are, I think, looking for a better way, looking for stories that we can actually pour our souls into.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the genre is.
I'm sold. I'm on board with this. I agree with you. I think the era of the big superhero movie is done and dusted. I think enough's enough. What I like about the genre we're talking about here is, yeah, you've got Dragon Ball Z, and yeah, you've got all the other manga stuff going on. From a Western point of view, it seems that it's only recently that you've been able to create movies based on a different subgenre, like comic books, for example.
Right.
But when you look back at the 70s movies of ninjas flying all over the place, that was in the 70s, man. Line work was huge. And now it seems to me that the axis has turned a little bit. It's like what you see in a cartoon, we were doing on live action ages ago. So these cartoons that come out and do all the fancy stuff, you kind of think to yourself, hold on a second. I've seen, you can do this in live action. I don't understand why it took Western cinema so long to catch up with it, but blame the computer graphics. That's what I say. It's all computer graphics now, isn't it? So it's fine.
Well, there's been a slow discovery process, and I think it's also a process of just running out of stories. Like, I mean, how many times can you need to remake something? So I do think that we're witnessing a globalization of the fandom, if you will. And don't forget, the world is 60% Asian. So as people come online, I think these indigenous Asian mythology and stories are kind of grouping the world, so to speak. And the world is certainly rediscovering it.
My household, totally agree with you. One of my wife's favorite movies recently, Man of Tai Chi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she laughs at me when I go to Tai Chi. She laughs at me. But no, she watches The Man with Tai Chi. And yeah, part of it is going to be Keanu Reeves. Of course it is. But then if you get past that bit, there's a whole story, the spiritual element, the where he gets his chi from, how the energy is used, how that energy transforms his movements and his fighting style and his moods. All that is sort of built in. So there's that. You've got the action if you just want to watch some fighting, or you've got the more spiritual natured elements.
Yeah.
So
well,
I think
that's what I really like about the genre is that the spiritual transformation is baked in to the storytelling. And they're kind of indivisible at a certain level. I'm so glad you raised the Man of Tai Chi as one of the, because I was there when Keanu was making it and I'm familiar with the whole movie as it was shot. I think the intent of it is extraordinary and very much in line with what we're doing at Immortal.
Cool. Excellent. So, shall we take a look at some stuff whilst we're here?
Let's do it. I'm so excited about Assassin's Creed. So once we get rolling with the visuals.
Yes, they're sick of hearing me talk. Let's have a look at the video. You've got a video on your Kickstarter, is that right? Am I all right to show that? Let's have a look.
Please do.
Let's get this started. Here we go.
Welcome to Assassin G's Kickstarter. This is the fourth pillar of the Immortal Storyverse, the fourth power level. So imagine the zaniness of 1982. We're talking Duran Duran, we're talking Culture Club, so many different musical influences, neons, fashion, hairstyles, all of that coming together with kind of these classical wuxia scenes that we associate with ancient China. Imagine those worlds coming together with a touch of badass female version of John Wick. That's Assassin G. We'll just start with the first scene. This is upstate New York. This is a huge birthday party.
this enigmatic young woman comes in. Before you know it, heads are rolling, and we don't even know what happens. Half the people are dead, and something big, a major explosion has gone down in this martial underworld that signals everybody in the Seven Cultivation Alliance, those who remain, that there's someone coming for you. This lethal killer, who's amazing, beautiful, and guileless, falls in love with the last person she should even talk to, the Scion, the guy who is basically holding the bag for the Seven Cultivation Alliance. They're best of the best. These two should never be romantically linked, yet they are. And that's the story of Assassin G. What happens when these two lovers and sworn enemies kind of have to deal with their feelings for each other, this ancient feud, and their own desires and wants. So scroll below and look for the right option for you. We created so many different ways to engage with this title, and choose the right one for you. And thank you for engaging with us today.
Whoa, there you go. Look at you looking so cool in your hat. That was cool, wasn't it? Except so.
Yeah, I'm a hat person.
Not with this hair. No, I can't do hats with this hair. It goes all.
No, I said I'm a hat person.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't have the hair like you, so I gotta rely on other means.
So there we go, Assassin G. I've got to say you're on a bit of a winner. I've got a thing for thigh highs, so that works. Well done.
Yes. Well, there's something I want to say about Assassin G's, because I actually come from a line of storytellers. So I didn't just wake up and decided I wanted to go into wuxia. It's actually my family business.
Cool.
And my father is one of the top creators. His name is Shiao. And he wrote this book in the 70s, and it became a best-selling novel almost right off the press. It used to be syndicated in about 17 daily newspapers throughout the world. And it's been made into television 4 times throughout Asia. So it became one of the seminal wuxia films, and one of the early precursors of a female-led martial arts fantasy story. So it's kind of a big undertaking to take this classic title and update it, make it more relevant for an international audience, substituting ancient China for a modern world, and kind of recreating these heroes for a modern audience, while changing some of the story narratives that a lot of the millions and millions of fan mail that we've received over the year have asked for. So it's kind of a continuation of a very, very long legacy, and that's why I'm really excited about Assassin G. It is a very rare thing. I don't think something like this has ever been presented on Kickstarter like this. It's a modern adaptation of a classic. We've also kind of created the story to answer a lot of the questions that have arisen from the interconnected Immortal world, which is, who are the key players, what's wrong, what are the key mysteries, what are the key families, and then I think putting forth some really, really fresh characters that people haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm. So when you go for an adaptation and you're taking it from the historical element to the more modern day, I would assume you have to be mindful, because the settings can change and there's going to be impacts to that. But what about societal elements and how things are perceived now as opposed to how they were perceived back in the day?
We had to do a lot of that, because this is a high martial fantasy where a lot of the spectacular feats of supernatural techniques really exist. Like Assassin G is a master of chi. The things that she can do are superhuman. Yet we live in this world where there's doubt, there's skepticism, there's no longer a belief in that. It's considered fantasy. So we're we positioned this in 1982 as kind of the last bastion before this entire way of life goes underground. So we're kind of captured in a moment where science is now taking over. It's the 80s, it's greed, it's Duran Duran. A lot of those musical elements is money, it's materialism. So we're kind of we're positioning this as kind of the last glimpse of this entire lineage before it goes completely underground. So there's a
Wow.
there's a lot happening. And because we are also holding out that this tradition is a real tradition, so we are kind of taking a very believable approach
Hmm.
to the genre.
Cool.
So imagine kind of like a John Wick take with even more fantastical things.
I love the first John Wick movie.
Yes.
After that, I'm like, right, I'm out. I mean, again, my wife loves the things and the fights and everything, and to me, I just want, I like the story of the first one, and
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with that, So, but John Wick is, I suppose, one of the highlights for this type of fantasy fighting
Uh-huh.
elements, modern day at least.
Yeah.
Definitely. I shouldn't say anything about John Wick. I'm wearing a shirt and tie.
Yeah. There you go. A black shirt, no less.
Yeah, I could be.
Look, Assassin G, it has really a lot of the great martial arts fantasy elements in a very, very fresh way. We have an amazing artist, He Tao, who has actually absorbed the original novels, who's bringing a lot of the authentic flair of the genre to the comic book medium. So I think it has a lot of elements and freshness that we haven't really seen in the fandom for a while. So we're really excited about the artwork, the writing rendered by Supergirl writer, Jen Troy.
Okay.
So it's a really amazing super team up of an established Hollywood screenwriter adapting from source material that's incredibly popular and an artist that is kind of being faithful to the tradition of it. But make no mistake about it, at its heart of Assassin G is a great love story, actually.
Cool.
One of the really one of the really interesting elements is the fact that these two lovers who are kind of connected in the most important ways, but opposed to each other, how they eventually find each other, how they fall in love, their romance is as powerful and intriguing as the rest of the story. And eventually really begs a very, very topical question can love really overcome all? And how do you get rid of these generational challenges that kind of points humanity to be forever enemies? And can we ever get over it?
It's interesting. This is the thing that I like about the genre, is the fact that it can be so deep. It's not just about the action scene. It's not about so you mentioned the Karate Kid earlier. You're not watching the Karate Kid for the karate in it. You're watching the Karate Kid because you like the relationship between Daniel and Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
And that's the core of the film. The karate is just kind of the method by which they get there.
But I mean, it's twofold, right? It's twofold. I think for the Karate Kid, yes, the action or the martial arts becomes the physical metaphor and the language for transformation.
Oh, yeah, I could say that, definitely, yeah.
Because I think the magic of the genre is that we all have an ideal version of who we are as fully realized. The most powerful, beautiful, righteous version of ourselves that we can really celebrate. And these stories, invariably, it's about the journey of getting there. And the martial arts becomes a metaphor for mastery, for learning, for kind of moving beyond ourselves. And when we become fully realized in that, the vision, the vision of our own selves as heroes, it's incredibly satisfying. And we feel really, really empowered, and we celebrate. And then we also kind of get to live out loud. And I think that's the beauty of it. And of course, because martial arts does exist, it's a real practice for those who've actually heeded it would say that there's an authentic message and opportunity of empowerment. So those things coming together with story kind of lays out the really attractive thing about the genre. And that's why we keep going back to it year after year, time after time, especially during this moment now when I think so many craziness is happening in the world. We're all looking for some real things that we could put our mind and hearts into that will ultimately nourish us, challenge us, and empower us. And this is where kind of these stories come in, and this is where Assassin G comes in, beginning with a woman who can just down about everybody.
I've just seen that. There she goes. She's having a bit of a tit-a-tat there.
Oh yeah.
So let me ask then, when you get into a project like this, the elements, the martial arts elements, how hard is that? Because when you watch it when you see it on movies or in TV screen, it's a lot of motion, and comics by nature are quite stagnant. They're quite one piece. How do you get the artists to try and convey that movement? It's not just the movement; it's the movement at pace.
Yeah.
It's quite quick how she moves from one panel to another to one bad guy. How do you manage to create that that level of kinetic energy, I suppose?
Well, I think that's what we really look for, and we take a huge amount of time looking for the right artist. We have a really involved publishing and editorial team. They're meeting with artists every day. They're talking stories. So we actually try to really marry the most ideal artist with the kind of visual style and language of it. We also bring in choreographers to talk about influences. So it's a total team approach, and ultimately it is about marrying the right story with somebody who already has it in them. These are not the time for the training wheels. And we chose He Tao, this writer, because he was able to appreciate the original literature. And the way my father wrote it was such a visual style. So it was really someone who took to that literary prose and then is able to stylize it. You know, and I don't think that we can take much credit for how the artist does it, but it's just really in the selection of it and then communication of the ideas.
I think the art looks great. We're looking through your Kickstarter page now. The art looks great. The colours are vibrant. The movement works really well. I'm loving this panel here where she's kind of giving it the standing on the guy's throat. Very Arkham City on that one.
Yes.
Yeah, it works. Should we take a quick look and see where you are?
Let's do it.
Have you seen your Kickstarter recently?
Yes. Well, we just passed our funding goal, and we have just about a week left. So this is a really great time. I want to just ask everybody who's interested in what we're doing, intrigued with Assassin G, to really lean in now and support our campaign, because we do rely on this to fund the printing of it.
Yeah. Cool. So there you go, because I'm in the UK, it's in pounds. But for dollars, you have received $10,599 pledged of a $10,000 goal. So everyone who's watching, you know what that means, right? It means that if you pledge, you are guaranteed your book.
Yes.
It's target, right? So that's good, right? Excellent. Good work.
This is a collector's item, you know,
Sorry?
because this is a collector's item. because this book has never been adapted into English and modernized, so I think it has a. Anyways, we're really excited about all those various points that's taken me to this point. Imagine growing up with this book, talking to my father ad nauseum about the storytelling and really wanting to do something different. And unfortunately, he's no longer here in the body, but I am here communicating this from his old office where he used to work. So it has a lot of personal meaning. And I just want to invite all the readers and the people who are watching this show to be part of this process, to help me awaken this lifelong dream and really deliver this book that has been in the works for quite some time.
Cool. It must be such a pleasure to see the book go through its transformation from one thing into the next.
It is.
It must give a sense of pride.
Yes, and it's also the beginning of a new journey.
Yeah, cool, excellent. Right, there you go. There's some socials there. You can follow Peter on his Instagram, and also you've got Ancient Futurist on there. Check those out. We will be back in a couple of moments. Just time for one of our breaks for one of our other shows. let's see. You mentioned John Wick. I don't have anything particularly John Wick-esque. However, we do have this, so you never know. If the book really does well, you might get Assassin G on the show. It is Crisis in the Toyverse. There you go, Crisis in the Toyverse for all your figures and statue needs. I can see an Assassin G figure on there in the very near future.
I saw the same thing, Johnny.
I am so there. Right, let's have a quick look at the pledges. So let me bring up the screen yet again so we can have a quick look. Share that. Boom. And there we go. So for your back the project, let's see, here we go. Back because you believe in it. There you go. For digital Assassin G #1, US $6 or more, you get digital download of G1, and your name in the backer section. Do you have a preference of how you like to produce the book? Do you want it like it physical, or do you prefer it to be digital?
Well, personally, I like the hard copies, and we print in super high quality 44-page super books. So it's actually, the size of 2 issues. There's nothing like holding it in your hand, so I prefer the physical options. But this is also a really good way. I would recommend the catch up, because this is not just one single story. It's actually the 4 stories coming together, laying the foundation for this kind of interconnected world. So I think for people who are kind of interested in the genre and the things that I would talk about, I would recommend one of those catch-up tiers where you get all 4 of the titles, which includes The Adept, Chronicles of the Immortal Swordsman, Fa Sheng, and then Assassin G. These 4 stories actually are interlinked and creates the foundation of this thing that we call the Immortal Storyverse, which promises to kind of bring this entire genre together in a spectacular way that we've never seen before. And of course, we have this big, hairy, audacious goal that these 4 pillars coming together creates the new mythology that will eventually be embraced globally as the way to really enjoy the martial fantasy genre that is true to the authentic roots of it all.
Yeah, I can absolutely totally see that. Where was it? I've just seen it. The $20 one. There you go with the 4. That sounds like a bargain. That's 4. You're paying less than $5 a book. Oh, $5 a book there, and you think to yourself, you can buy books in comic shops for that, and the work would be as high quality as this.
That's right.
So I'm absolutely that's definitely the one to go for. The fact that it's a PDF, I am with you on this, Peter. I prefer floppies. I prefer looking at the comic books. But we're in a bit of a cost crisis, a living crisis across the way, and cost is everything. It's cheaper for you to produce a PDF than it is to produce a book.
That's right.
I'd rather go from that point of view. Excellent.
Look, we're just happy to share these stories with everybody. We're just happy to share the stories and kind of share something authentic that, these days there's so many types of these types of stories there, but when you read through them, you don't really feel an authentic connection to where these stories come from.
Absolutely.
Because these ideas, these philosophies, they actually come from somewhere.
Can we talk about some of the other characters you've got going on?
Please.
Yep. There you go. That is a great cover.
This is a great cover by Jim Chung, so everybody should know a lot about Jim's work, who's the famed DC Marvel artist.
Yeah.
So the Adept is how we kicked off the storyverse, and at the center of it is also another she-hero. So Amy comes from a broken family, somebody that you would think that comes from the wrong side of the streets. She's just, put simply, she's had a very tough life, and everything changed for her when she started to have these reoccurring dreams of a Shaolin master visiting her and training her in her sleep. So we arrive at the first issue of the Immortal Storyverse when she goes to a concert and realizes that this person that she's dreaming about does exist. And she meets him for the first time when she's forced to basically jump on the stage and exert her kung fu in a way that she's never thought possible. Mm-hmm. And this kicks off her life into high gear. And that's the story of the Adept.
I think I have the first issue cover here. There you go.
So this is how we kick off the Immortal Storyverse with the Adept. And then we're now preparing Adept issue number 3. I'm really also happy to share that we're also developing the Adept movie already, and we've received some very positive word of mouth, and there's some really exciting attachments that we'll be making about the Adept shortly.
Wow. So there you go, guys. You heard it here first. There you go. So, you want to find out what happens, get your $20 in and get the
definitely dive into all of them. And then this kind of the Adept is based in, Gotham is kind of the pseudonym for New York. And as a native Angelino, we've actually chosen the West Coast, specifically LA, as kind of the ground zero for the Immortal Storyverse. So the Adept and the next title, I don't know if you want to put it on your screen, The Chronicles of the Immortal Swordsman also takes place in LA.
Hang fire, because I've got them ready to go. And I was just wondering which way you were going to go. There you go.
This is Chronicles of the Immortal Swordsman. And in the foreground, you have Iron Pondu, also known as Phil. He's a broke college dropout kid. So notice I'm doing a really common theme is that the heroes of the Immortal Storyverse are people that we could actually all relate to.
Mm-hmm.
They're not billionaires. They're not bitten by radioactive spiders. They are people who are living everyday lives trying to do the best they can. So Phil is a gamer. He's a parkour. He's also a college dropout, and he's destined to be one of the great immortal swordsmen. This great lineage that has fallen in disrepair. Nobody believes in it anymore. So it's a story of him coming to terms with his immortal lineage. What does it mean for him, and what he has to do to really awaken his powers is the journey of the immortal swordsman. And he and Amy that we read from the first Adept are actually contemporaries. What we're going to find out from Assassin G is the entire backstory of how this group fell into disrepair. And this is the fun thing of building interconnected worlds, that Assassin G and Chronicles of the Immortal Swordsman are actually close cousins.
Mm.
So narratively and character-wise, and the build-up, the two are actually really, really connected. So for fans of the Immortal Swordsman, fans of the Adept, fans of the next story, the Fa Sheng, to really dive into Assassin G, because we're laying a lot of Easter eggs and how all of these stories are actually telling a bigger story.
I looked at this, and this reminds me a little bit of the water margin.
Oh, I love the fact that you know the water margin. This is actually. I
told you, man, I've got game. I'm there.
I'm super impressed. Did you know that the backdrop of Fa Sheng is the same backdrop as the water margin?
When I looked at it, I didn't know for certain, but I looked at it, and now as soon as I saw it, I was like, it's the water margin.
It's the water margin. It actually comes from Hudza, which is my ancestral home.
Cool.
So my grandfather comes from this town, this part of the world where the water margin is based, where where the Boxer uprising actually took place. So there's another slice of my life and my own lived experiences that lays the foundation of this. So again, for people who are interested in this this entire genre, it all comes from really, really interesting, amazing places, and you kind of get the personal part of it. And Fa Sheng is the awakening of the Shaolin. It's the origin story of the Shaolin warrior, the Shaolin hero who appears in Amy's dreams. So you can now see all 4 of these. We're invested in these characters, how they come to be, and why. So there's a lot of really, really deep world building that's happening here.
I love that. I love that that connectivity.
Yeah.
I think it's so great that you can kind of, you know, you've planned sort of like, this is what we're doing now, and now we're just going to go backwards and kind of add and sideways and add different, make sure they all fit. That I'm really impressed with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're building it out, and another big reason we want to bring this out is that we want to actually, as part of our next evolution, is to really engage our readers to play a more active role in the Immortal Storyverse. So somewhere over the next several months, we're going to make available to our collectors only a chance to participate in the Immortal Storyverse. So here's another reason to sign up now, because only those who sign up and be part of the Immortal Storyverse, they're going to be given the first invitation to come inside the interconnected world and play with us.
If I look at the comic book down the future, down the line, and I see a long-haired glasses guy in a black shirt getting beat up, I'm not going to be happy.
You're not going to be happy, but say he's being beaten up by the most powerful guys or ladies.
Make it the powerful ladies, and then you'll have yourself a deal. You know?
My people will talk to your people.
Sounds like a plan.
We'll work it out.
So you have a website, Immortal Studios, correct?
That's right. It's immortal-studios.com. I want to invite people who are interested first to support our Kickstarter campaign. This is how you get into our docket. Other ways to get involved is please sign up for our newsletter. We have a monthly newsletter that kind of shares updates on the exciting developments of the Immortal Storyverse. And you've also shared our social accounts. It's a great way to get in contact with us.
I can do that now for you. There you go. Boom. There's the socials again. So yes. You've got Immortal, Wuxia, and then the Ancient Futurist. There you go.
That's right. Cool. Ancient Futurist is my personal account. So
excellent. So I've got to ask, because when I'm looking through the header on your webpage, you've got some Shang-Chi stuff on there. Mm-hmm. Were you happy with the way the movie went with Shang-Chi?
Oh yeah, I'm super impressed with Shang-Chi. First of all, it was not an easy undertaking because they're trying to basically add a lot of authenticity and reality to something that I think Shang-Chi had not the best DNA, if you will.
Yeah,
it emerged this moment of I think kung fu exploitation, but what they did with it
and racism to an extent.
Racism, yeah, I didn't want to. So I think they successfully rectified the past, and I think there's just look. I think the beautiful thing about Marvel and Shang-Chi is I think they got a really fun and interesting tone, and Shang-Chi just reminded a lot of people just. A lot of really lovely elements of wuxia and reminded people, and I think re-whetted the appetite. So for this, I'm really grateful to them for kind of proving out this unmet appetite that we're now seeking to fill.
I think you're absolutely right. I think you kind of there's the DNA isn't the greatest DNA.
Yeah.
The fact that he's not a top tier character to start with was always going to be a hard sell for Marvel, but they do it very, very well. What surprised me was how well Shang-Chi was received when Iron Fist wasn't particularly well received. I've got to say, I don't mind Iron Fist. I thought I enjoyed Iron Fist more than I enjoyed the Luke Cage series. But again, the two are.
Yeah, I think. Look, we could quarterback who did what wrong or right in our respective view, but Shang-Chi by all standards was a phenomenal success.
Agreed.
And the fact that it's already second one is being made, I think in the days ahead we're going to see that Shang-Chi will probably be developed into a new pillar for Marvel. My view is that what we're going to see will be interconnected worlds that really come more authentically from that genre, kind of like what we're doing at Immortal. So I'm paying a lot more attention to what we're doing, because we agreed at the beginning where we are superhero fatigue has set in, and I think we're ready for a new messenger and a new container for the kind of messages and storytelling we want. Ultimately, I think we want something relevant to our lives.
Cool, I agree. Right, Kickstarter. That's a really long link, all right? So what I would do if I was me is I would go to kickstarter.com and then type in the Adept 2 or Assassin G, and that will take you to the place where you need to go. Because I tell you now, if you're trying to type that in, watch out for the mistakes, because there's going to be a couple. Just saying.
That's
all
right.
And also, check out the website. There you go, at immortalstudios.com. Lots of stuff going on there. And as we've mentioned earlier, there are the Instagrams, so you can stay in touch with Peter, get all the news as it happens. Straight from the horse's mouth, really. Well done. I have to say, well done on hitting your goal. You must feel really pleased that you've hit your goal before the end of the campaign. That shows you that it's not just you that's interested in
Yes.
this. There's a whole audience for this, for the type of stories you want to tell.
Well, we want to grow that number, and so we're really counting on the public to yes, we've hit our first goal. Now I'd like to hit our next stretch goal of $20,000. So again, if you're watching this, I want to invite you to join, to help us make history and help us to bring Assassin G, the fourth installment of the Immortal Storyverse, to life. Just go to Kickstarter, look for Assassin G, go to our website at immortal-studios.com, follow one of our social channels, me at Ancient Futurist, or Immortal Wuxia, both on Instagram.
Well done. It's like it happens. As you said, it appears a magic like that, isn't it? Cool.
Yes.
All right, excellent. Okay, Peter, thank you so much for spending the time. Really do appreciate it. The Assassin G book looks great. I'm absolutely blown away by the level of detail. Normally, when I see people come up and say, "Oh, we've got a connected universe," it's because they've done 3 books already, and they're like, "Oh man, how do we make it connect?" You guys have gone in and said, "Right, this is it. This is how it connects," and gone from there. I think that's absolutely well done. Absolutely, the quality looks great, and congrats on reaching your target.
Thank you so much, Johnny. Thanks for having me.
You are more than welcome. Right, guys, that's it for the end of this show. Do not forget to check out the UCPN for all your favorite podcasts, including Crisis in the Toyverse. And if you like your Marvel stuff, it's the No Prize podcast for all your Marvel, MCU, and Disney Plus. So, yeah, Shang-Chi will be on there at some point, as will She-Hulk. So, you take your chances, right?
That's right.
Peter, thank you so much. Really do appreciate your time. And for everybody else, I've been Johnny the Machine Hughes. Adios.
Adios.
Visit undercovercapes.com for the latest and greatest podcasts via the Undercover Capes Podcast Network. Also visit our parent company website, comiccrusaders.com, all about comic pop culture.